Time heals all wounds. That is the single biggest lie you have ever been fed. Time doesn't solve a damn thing. Time just rots the corpse. If you are here right now, it is because you can smell the stench of your own stagnation. You have realized that the version of you that has survived up until this morning is no longer competent enough to get you where you need to go. Let me be blunt. Most people, when they talk about starting over or changing their life, are looking for a sedative. They want a cute little list of habits like drink more water or smile at strangers. But we are not running a kindergarten here. Machiavelli once said, "Whoever desires to found a state and give it laws must start with the assumption that all men are bad." To build a new system, you need an enemy, and your old enemy is you. The you that is lazy, the you that is terrified, the you that is addicted to playing the victim. The Stoicism I am going to drill into your skull today has nothing to do with peace or meditating under a cherry blossom tree. This was the philosophy of warrior emperors and political prisoners. This is a tool for becoming an impregnable fortress. In the next 30 minutes, I am not going to add anything to your life. I am going to take things away. We are going to perform surgery on your delusions. If you're looking to be coddled, close this video right now and go back to that cheap, sugary motivational content. But if you are ready to execute the weak self so that a strategist can be born, then listen closely. The week ahead of you will not be easy. It will be a slaughter of your mediocre habits. Let's begin with the first and most lethal trap: war against reality. Let me paint a scenario for you so you can clearly see the difference between a losing fool and a stoic strategist. Imagine two men. Both of them lose their business or their entire fortune in a single night. Gone. Absolute zero. The first man, who represents 99% of the population, what does he do? He starts screaming at the universe. "Why me? This isn't fair, God. I have bad luck. They betrayed me." This man is hemorrhaging his vital energy fighting a past that is already dead. He is like a man whose arm has been cut off, and instead of bandaging the wound, he's screaming at the knife. Psychology calls this denial. I call it strategic stupidity. But the second man is a stoic. When he hears the news of his bankruptcy, he doesn't even blink. Not because he doesn't feel pain, he bleeds like anyone else, but because he has mastered the law of Amor, Fati, a love of fate. He doesn't say, "I wish this hadn't happened." He says, "Good, this happened. Now my hands are free to build something better than what was destroyed." Have you heard the story of Thomas Edison? At the age of 67, his massive laboratory containing all his inventions and prototypes caught fire. His son watched in horror, thinking his father would have a heart attack. But what did Edison do? He shouted, "Go get your mother! She will never see a fire this magnificent again in her life." The next morning, Edison didn't say, "I'm ruined." He said, "All my mistakes were burned up last night. Thank God. Now I can start fresh." Do you see? Your mental trap is thinking that reality should align with your wishes. The world does not care about your wishes. Reality is wild, indifferent, and ruthless. Your first rule for this new week is this: whatever happens, and I repeat, whatever mess occurs, you do not have the right to ask why. You must ask, "Good, how can I turn this debris into fuel?" Stoicism is alchemy. It is the art of turning the excrement of events into the gold of opportunity. So from this moment on, whining is forbidden. Complaining about traffic, complaining about inflation, complaining about your partner leaving, forbidden. These are your raw materials. Build your empire with them. Now we arrive at the most toxic habit that is slowly eating you alive. It is what I call the invisible prison. You think you are free? No, You are a slave to the gaze of others, a slave to that pathetic moment when you post a story and check it every 5 minutes to see who watched it. The root of this behavior lies in your primitive brain. Thousands of years ago, if the tribe rejected you, you were left alone in the forest to be eaten by wolves. Fear of judgment was a survival mechanism. But today, fear of judgment is a mechanism of enslavement. Carl Jung said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." And that is the death of your true character. Let me tell you the story of Cato the Younger. Cato was a Roman senator and one of the most hardcore Stoics in history. He was the arch nemesis of Julius Caesar. Do you know what his daily practice was? Cato would deliberately wear ridiculous, mismatched tunics. He would walk the streets of Rome wearing colors that clashed, without shoes, looking absurd. Why? Was he insane? No. People laughed at him. They mocked him. They pointed fingers. Cato did this to thicken his skin. He wanted to learn that the sound of other people's laughter had absolutely zero power over his mind. He was training his muscle of indifference in the gymnasium of humiliation. Now, look at yourself. You are terrified to start a new business because what if my cousins make fun of me? You are afraid to change your style, afraid to speak your truth. You are not the king of your own realm. You are the court jester in someone else's kingdom. The law of power is this: as long as your self-esteem is dependent on external validation, you are a marionette, a puppet whose strings are held by the stupidest people around you. To start over, you must cut these strings. You must learn that when someone hates you, when someone gossips about you, instead of fear, you should feel power, because it means you are doing something they do not have the guts to do. Calculated indifference is your armor, and once you wear this armor, you are finally ready to understand how far your power actually extends and exactly where it ends. Now that you have learned to silence the voices of others, you must learn to manage the voice in your own head. Most of the suffering you have endured this week and in your entire life stems from a single strategic error: investing on enemy soil. Epictetus, the slave who became a philosopher, drew a hypothetical line in the sand. This line is the border between the circle of control and the circle of non-control. This rule sounds simple, but executing it requires the heart of a lion. Things under your control: your thoughts, your beliefs, your effort, and your reaction to events. That is it. Things not under your control: your reputation, your wealth, the family you were born into, your death, your partner's behavior, the state of the economy, and the opinions of others. The psychological trap is here. You spend 90% of your mental energy on things that are not in your control. Let me give you a concrete example so you can see the depth of the disaster. Imagine you're an archer. You draw the bowstring, you focus, you adjust your angle, and you release the arrow. Up until the moment the arrow leaves the bow, everything was in your hands. This is the circle of control. But the moment the arrow is released, suddenly a gust of wind blows and deflects it, or the target moves. A weak man starts crying here. "Why did the wind blow? I am so unlucky." But a Stoic strategist knows that the outcome was never fully in his control. He focuses on the process. If you executed your best form and missed the target, you are still victorious. How does this apply to real life? You go for a job interview. Your resume is perfect, your suit is sharp, your speech is eloquent. These are in your hands. But the fact that the interviewer had a fight with his wife last night and hates your face, that is not in your hands. If you get rejected and sit there grieving, you are a fool, because you are trying to control something that belongs to chaos.
The dictatorship of the control circle means absolute ruthlessness in eliminating worry. Whenever you are anxious about something, ask yourself, is changing this entirely within my hands? If the answer is no, or even maybe, you must throw that thought out of your mind like trash. When you withdraw all your energy from the outside and focus it solely on your internal laser, you develop a power that is terrifying. But having this mental power is not enough if your body and spirit are weak and addicted to ease. And this is where we meet the most dangerous modern enemy.
Your next enemy does not hold a dagger. It approaches with a smile, with soft pillows, with warm food, and with Netflix. The name of this enemy is comfort. And let me tell you, comfort is the most dangerous narcotic ever invented by civilization. Your brain, that reptilian ancient part of it, loves comfort. Why? Because comfort means saving energy, and saving energy means survival in the wild. But in the modern world, this survival mechanism has mutated into a mechanism of decay. You lounge on the sofa in a climate-controlled room, stuffing your face with pizza, thinking you are happy, but in reality, your soul is rotting. The ancient Stoics understood a truth that we have conveniently forgotten. The man who has experienced no hardships is brittle. If you always sleep on feathers, the first time life throws you onto cold rocks, and it will throw you, you will shatter. Let's look at Seneca. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He could have drowned in wine and gold every single day, but he had a habit called voluntary discomfort. He would set aside days where he would eat only stale bread, wear rough, scratching tunics, and sleep on the floor. Why would a billionaire do such a thing? Was he a masochist? No, he was vaccinating himself. He was whispering to his own fear. Is this the poverty I was so afraid of? This is nothing. I can handle this. When you deliberately take a freezing cold shower, when you fast even though the fridge is full, or when you push your body to failure in the gym, you are sending a signal to your brain, I am not a slave to pleasure. I am the master of this vessel. This week, you must detox from the intoxication of comfort. You must hunt for difficulty. Because in the realm of comfort, no heroes are born. Everyone there dies fat, lazy, and depressed. But even if you forge your body into steel, there is still a mental trap that can paralyze you at the starting line, a trap that wears the mask of virtue.
We arrive at the most fashionable form of cowardice, perfectionism. So many people say with pride, I'm a perfectionist. I won't do it unless it's flawless. I call that what it is, bullshit. You are not a perfectionist. You are a coward. You are terrified of failing, terrified of being judged, so you hide behind the beautiful word quality to justify doing absolutely nothing. Perfectionism is like waiting for all the traffic lights in the city to turn green before you drive your car. It is idiotic. That moment will never come. In military strategy, we have a concept called the fog of war. No general in history has ever had 100% intelligence before attacking. If Napoleon or Cyrus the Great had waited for conditions to be perfect, they would have died sitting in their tents. Let me give you a real-world scenario from the intersection of art and business. A pottery teacher divided his class into two groups. To Group A, he said, your grade depends solely on the quality of one single clay pot you submit at the end of the term. It must be a masterpiece. To Group B, he said, your grade depends solely on quantity. I don't care if they are ugly or crooked, whoever makes 50 pounds of pots gets an A. What was the result? Do you think the best pots came from Group A? Exactly the opposite. Group A spent the entire semester theorizing, planning, and agonizing over details, and in the end, they produced mediocre work. But Group B, they got their hands dirty. Their first pot was trash, the second was bad, the 10th was better, and the 50th was a masterpiece. They reached perfection through imperfect action. The Stoic philosophy here is crystal clear. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, dealt with incompetence, plague, and war every single day. He didn't say, "I will wait until the empire is calm." He said, "To move is my duty. The result belongs to the gods." In this week of restarting your life, you must drag perfectionism into the town square and execute it. Your video is bad? Post it. Your business idea is raw? Launch it. Your draft is full of typos? Write it. Strategic, imperfect action always, I repeat, always wins the game. A soldier who fires his weapon is infinitely better than a sniper who aims until the war is over. But wait, you start taking action, but then you remember that you have time. You think there are years ahead of you, and that is the grandest illusion we must shatter right now.
We arrive at the biggest lie you tell yourself every single morning. I have time. This sentence is the hallmark of human arrogance. You live as if you were destined to live for 1,000 years. You hold on to grudges, you postpone your dreams to next Monday, and you scroll through Instagram for hours, acting as if your reservoir of time is infinite. Seneca, that ruthless Roman philosopher, has a sentence that you should tattoo on your forehead. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Death is not something waiting for you in the distant future. Death is happening right now. Every second that just ticked by died. It is gone forever. You have already lost a portion of your existence to the grave. Let me sketch a dark but necessary scenario for you. Imagine that this afternoon you go to the doctor's office. The doctor looks at you with a face made of stone and says, "I am sorry, you have a malignant tumor. You have exactly 1 week, 7 days to live." In that instant, what happens to your brain? That project you were too scared to launch? It seems idiotic to worry about it now. That fight you had with your mother? Meaningless. That girl you were too afraid to text? Rejection is now a joke. Suddenly, all the bullshit is stripped from your life, and only the essentials remain. In that 1 week, you would become the bravest, most honest, most alive person on earth. The technique of Memento Mori means remember you must die. This isn't depression, this is jet fuel. Strategists use death as a consultant. When you need to make a decision, ask your mortality. On your deathbed, will you regret not doing this, or will you regret playing video games all day? In this week of starting over, you must wake up every morning imagining it is your last, not poetically, but seriously. If you knew tonight was the end, would you still write that hateful comment? Would you still be afraid to try? Death kills fear, and when fear dies, you become invincible. But wait, even if you know your time is short, you might still get trapped in the petty, worthless dramas of daily life. To solve this, we need to rip the camera of your mind off the ground and launch it into the sky.
Your fundamental problem is that the camera lens of your mind is locked on macro mode. You are so zoomed in on your own life that a pimple on your nose or a snide remark from a coworker feels like the apocalypse. You are trapped in the trap of self-importance. You think you are the center of the universe and everyone is watching you. Marcus Aurelius was the king of half the known world. He had absolute power, but at night in his command tent, he practiced the view from above to keep from going insane. He looked at himself from the sky. Let's do exactly that. Close your eyes and imagine pulling away from your body. You see the ceiling of your room. Go higher. Now you see your city. Humans look like ants stuck in traffic, fighting, honking, rushing. How small and ridiculous they look from up there. Go higher. Now you see the earth, a tiny blue marble in the infinite darkness. All the wars in history, all the empires, all the heartbreaks, and all the bankruptcies happened on that speck of dust. Now, think about your problem today, that problem that is driving you crazy. From up there, from the moon, how big is your problem? Is it visible? No, it doesn't even exist. This is the practice of ego destruction.
When you realize that on a cosmic scale, you and your problems matter absolutely zero, a strange thing happens. You become free. If nothing really matters, then why are you afraid? Why not take the risk? Why censor yourself? This perspective lifts the heavy burden of existence off your shoulders. You are just a tourist in eternity for a few seconds, so play your role, enjoy the ride, and leave. Stop worrying about the judgment of other ants. However, this cosmic freedom has a risk. When you look from above, you are calm, but when you descend back to earth, back among people, your blood boils again. Emotions flare up. Anger, jealousy, lust. To control these internal rebels, you need a strong security system. You need to be the king of your emotions, not their slave.
We arrive at the moment where everything usually falls apart. The moment where you have read all the strategy books, you have laid out all the plans, but then someone on the street insults you, or your partner makes a snide remark. Suddenly, the red mist descends, your heart rate spikes, and boom, you blow it. You say everything you shouldn't, you scream, and 5 minutes later, when you calm down, you realize you have lost the game. Your problem is that in the kingdom of your being, the king, reason, is weak, and the mob, emotions, stages a coup whenever they please. You are reactive. You are like a light switch. Anyone who wants to can press you and turn you on. That is absolute slavery. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, discovered a power that the Nazis could not take from him. He was in the filthiest, most painful conditions imaginable, but he realized a golden rule. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom. Let me play out a critical scenario for you. Imagine you are in a high-stakes business meeting. Your rival, a dirty strategist, wants to sabotage you. In front of the senior executives, he deliberately targets your weak point. He says, "I heard your last project was a catastrophic failure, wasn't it?" You have two paths here. The loser's path. Your face turns red, your voice shakes, and you start defending yourself and making accusations. Congratulations, you fell into the trap. He pushed your button and you danced. He proved you were emotionally unstable and unfit to lead. The strategist's path, stoic. You hear his words, stimulus. The feeling of anger rises in your chest, but you create that space. You stay silent. You look at him for 3 seconds. You take a deep breath. You see the anger, but you do not let it sit in the commander's chair. With the cold-blooded calmness of an assassin, you smile and say, "Your information is incomplete, but I'm flattered you follow my career so closely." Boom, the tables have turned. He wanted to make you nervous, but now he looks like the fool. The law of power is this: your emotions are your advisors, not your commanders. When anger says strike, you, as the king, say, "Your suggestion is noted, but now is not the time." Denied. This week, your practice is the pause. Whenever you want to scream, whenever you want to cry, whenever you want to send that stupid text message, just wait 24 hours. Tell yourself, "I will answer this tomorrow." 99% of the time, tomorrow you will realize that emotion was just a temporary coup that has been suppressed. But controlling emotions in the moment is not enough. To ensure these weaknesses are eradicated, you must crucify yourself every single night. You must convene a court. The day is over. You are tired. You want to sleep and forget everything. But the shadow strategist does not do that. This is where the difference between aging and growing becomes clear. Most people just get old because they do not digest their experiences. Pythagoras, and later the Stoics, had a tradition I call the night court. This is not some cute romantic journaling where you write, "Today was sunny and I felt happy." No, this is a military interrogation. Imagine a dark room. Only a single desk lamp is on. You are the accused, the prosecutor, and the judge.
You open your notebook and ruthlessly ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Where was I a coward today? Do not be polite. Where should you have spoken up but stayed silent? Where should you have said no but said yes to gain approval? Write it down. I was a coward because I bowed down to name. Seeing this sentence on paper hurts, and it should hurt. This pain ensures you won't repeat it tomorrow. 2. Where did I lose control? Where did you overeat? Where did you burn your time on social media? Where did you lose your temper? Write it down. Confess. 3. What did I do right that must be reinforced? Where did you manage to conquer your impulses? Where did you face your fears? Let me give you a real example. Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers of America, had a notebook where he listed 13 virtues. Every night he checked himself. If he lied, he put a black dot next to sincerity. His goal was to keep the book clean. He says in his autobiography, "I never arrived at perfection, but the effort I made to keep this book clean made me the man the world knows." Without this night court, you repeat yesterday's mistakes every single day. You are stuck in a vicious cycle. But when you force yourself to face your weaknesses on paper, your subconscious begins to correct itself. Tomorrow, when you want to overeat, you will remember tonight's court and you will feel ashamed. This court is not a prison, it is a workshop for building a human. Your pen is a scalpel that removes the tumors of your personality one by one. Now we have examined 9 rules. The autopsy is complete. The corpse of the old self is on the table. Now it is time to deliver the final blow and leave the operating room. It is time for the conclusion.
30 minutes ago, when you clicked on this video, you were a victim of circumstance, a victim of emotions, and a victim of other people's opinions. But now you are armed. You possess an arsenal of psychological weapons from Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus. But listen, the most dangerous moment is right now. Human memory is volatile, and old habits return like zombies. If you were just a listener, by tomorrow morning you will forget everything, and you will revert to being the same weak person you were. I will not let that happen. I have summarized the complete battle map of this operation, all 9 rules and their execution techniques into a strategic mind map. This is your cheat sheet. You must have it, print it out, and stick it on your wall so that every day you are reminded that you are at war. I have put the link to the Telegram channel in the description. Go there right now, join and take the file, The Protocol of Killing Weakness. And your final mission here? Take off the mask. There is no need to act. Go to the comment section and confess. Out of these 9 traps, approval seeking, perfectionism, fear of the future, emotional slavery, etc., which one has sucked your blood the most? Which one has been your master? Write in the comments, "I killed name of trap." For example, write, "I killed perfectionism," or "I killed approval seeking." This comment is your declaration of independence. It is your signature on the death warrant of your weaknesses. I will be reading the comments. I want to see how many of you are just spectators and how many of you actually have the guts to enter the arena. Remember, fate leads the willing, but drags the resistant. The choice is yours. Will you walk or will you be dragged? The game is over. Now, life begins.